Hi, today we're going to talk about web analytics, and so this has become an increasingly important part of strategic communication research. Web analytics are basically ways to think about how you set up and design your website to get the desired results, as well as understanding kind of the information about visitors to your site and how you might best maximize their visit. So, some of the purposes of web analytics, quite straightforwardly, you want to track use of your website. So you're looking at information such as your traffic sources. So how are people finding your site? The content, what do people do once they're on your site? Convergence. And convergence is what we talk about when we talk about if the web analytics are going to help you understand if you're meeting your business objectives. And so convergence is getting visitors to do what you want them to do once they are on your website. And that's the most important part. You want to have a website with a clear purpose. You want to have, you want to know what you want visitors to get out of it. And convergence that helps you track to see if the website's doing what you want to do. We also have audience reporting. So who is your audience? And where are they coming from? And so with websites, we can track all that information. So thinking about the audience, some questions we'd want to know, and we can find out using web analytics. How many visitors do you have? And among that, how many are unique? And so that means how many, individuals. So 100 people might have clicked on your homepage in the past, week. But if 50 of them were your mom, that's not necessarily the same as having 100 new people click on your website. And so being able to tell how many unique visitors you have is very important. So you also want to think about repeat visitors. If you're Amazon, having a lot of repeat customers is a good thing. It means that you're becoming the go-to spot for people's purchasing. You're a habit of theirs. And so that's something websites usually do want, a lot of repeat visits. And how many pages do they visit? And so not throughout the user's entire time on the internet, but rather on your website, how many pages do they visit within the site? You also can find out their demographic information and their geographic origin. So where are they coming from? Where are they logging into your site from? And so there's a few things, dimensions and metrics are some of our key terms. A dimension is a qualitative factor. It's an attribute about visitors and their visits. Whereas metrics are quantitative, it's a numerical attribute. So it's how many people, how long they were on a page, and so on and so forth. And so in thinking about the terminology for web analytics, just remember dimensions are attributes. So geographic origin, age, and so on and so forth, but metrics then are numerical attributes. So traffic sources. Okay, so now we're going to talk about traffic sources, and there's 3 types. We've got organic, direct, and referral. Organic traffic isn't advertisements, but rather a result of the search terms entered into a search engine. So if I go to Google or Bing and I type in Cal State Fullerton, and then I use that link, that's organic traffic. And now it's not the paid advertisements. And so sometimes if you were to Google, say Home Depot, their paid link, where they pay to be at the top of your results, would be there. That's not considered organic traffic. Direct traffic is when you type the URL directly into the browser. So fullerton.edu, that is considered a direct traffic source because you went directly to that site. You knew you wanted to go there, you knew the name, and you typed it on in. And then a referral is when you're brought through links on other websites. And so you're there because, perhaps I was on the OC Register reading a story about the Cal State baseball team, and I then clicked through to the sports department's page. Right, and so, or if I was on a personal website, and then then the link would be to the Department of COMM, right? And so that's a referral from one page to another. And And then you also, this is where the paid media, your ad links, are being calculated as a traffic source. And this helps you realize what your return on investment is. And so how much traffic are you getting through your paid ads and paid links as opposed to organically or directly. Okay, so another really important term in thinking about web analytics is the bounce rate. And so that's when a visitor comes to the site and immediately leaves. And we've all been there. We've clicked on something, we've Googled something, and then we've, tried to see if it's what we want. The page starts to load. We're like, nope, that's not us. Or we go to the landing page and, we decide that it's not the same thing we wanted. So it's calculated by the number of bounces over total visits. So how many people came to your web page or website, and then how many people left right away. And so a high bounce rate is a lower quality of traffic. You might be getting a lot of people there, but they don't really want to be on your site. Your site isn't something with the way that your site is attracting visitors, isn't connecting with the people you want to be connecting with. So then one of the questions is, how do you minimize the bounce rate, right? How do you make sure you get people visiting your site who are going to convert, who are going to take the action you want as a result of the visit? And so that's really where the bounce rate becomes very useful, is in thinking through kind of what quality of traffic you're getting. And so it's not just, the numbers of people. You could have 1 million people visiting your homepage. If nobody uses your services or buys your product, that's fairly useless. And if they actually don't even want to know more information about your services or product. So you want to be able to line up, right, what keywords should you use to get the traffic that you want, to connect with the people looking for what you're doing. Okay, so when thinking about content, there's several different types of data that web analytics provide us with. First one is number of page views. We also can find out about the average time on the page, and then the bounce rate. And so within each page on your website, you might have a different bounce rate. We're also going to see internal site courses searches. And so if we're on the Fullerton site, for example, and we go into the small search box, and I search for courses, or academic calendar is what I'm always looking for, right? That's an internal site search, and the Fullerton tech team has that information about what we search for in that box. And they use that then to redesign the site, to move the content we're looking for to a more accessible location, and so on and so forth. We also can find segmentation, and so who visited which pages. And then information about where people are coming from. Are they looking at your site from their cell phone? Are they looking on a tablet? Or are they on a laptop or desktop computer? And that's important to think about in terms of design. You might want to if you've got a lot of mobile traffic, you want to make sure that your site is mobile friendly, and so on and so forth. And so you want to be able to, looking at this data as a way of connecting with your client with your customers in a as easy and pain-free a manner as possible. And then you can also use web analytics to create an event, and that would help you directly analyze a communication effort. And so you might launch a new hashtag or a new a new promotion on the website, and you can directly track, how many people clicked through to use the promotion, and how much more traffic did your ad campaign during the Super Bowl generate, and so on and so forth. And then you also would see if they go to the place order page. And one of the things to keep in mind is that where you put the order page matters in terms of the traffic. And so looking at content, you can see how they move through the site. And you don't necessarily want the place order page to be like right up front. Like Amazon has you browse for a while, and then there's like that subtle icon with the shopping cart. And so they do that quite strategically. And so that's something to think about when thinking about web page design. Okay, which brings us to convergence, right? And this is sort of the big deal. This is what you want when you create a website. And so it's important to think about what your business objectives are, How you'll know if the website is helping you achieve them. So what's your global vision? And is your website helping you get there? What role does your website play in your business plan? If you're primarily, if you're selling crafts on Etsy, your website and your online presence is going to be much more important than if you're mostly you do work in person, right? So how do you want people to make a phone call to you afterwards? Do you want them to fill out a form? And so on. And so oftentimes political candidates will ask you to fill out a form. And so some of the ways that people convert, if you're doing with e-commerce, is transactions, right? Go to your shopping cart. If I go to Amazon and I don't buy anything, that's not, I haven't converted. And so that's been like a failed visit in a lot of ways. So another one is often create a new account. And so we see this increasingly, especially a lot of like flash sale sites. You can't look at the material, you can't look at their merchandise if you don't have an account. And so they get your information that way. So here's from Tumblr. And this is another one coming from Pinterest. And so, right, so their goal is to really get you to create an account and begin to post because, of course, that's how social media earns money. It's from our usage, right? And then this is from one of the real estate sites, right? So get more information. If you want to get past their wall and see more information about the site, the house you're looking at, you have to give them some info. Filling out a form, right? This is from, I believe, Hillary's campaign, or maybe Bernie's. It's from a political campaign this year. And so saying join the official campaign. They want you to get your email address and zip code so they know where you are and who, and they can reach out and contact you later. And then you've got something like count me in, because that's, right, you're making some kind of commitment to being part of this campaign effort. Right, and so similar language here, I'm in, with your email and zip code. And so not a lot of creativity in what information they expect from you, but also because it's so benign seeming, you might be more likely to share the information. Another way of converting is, will you download software? So Firefox, free download. And this is a citation management tool, Zotero. And so just an example of how convergence differs depending on the product you have and what you want people to do. And so again, the conversion rate is people who complete your desired action over the total number of visits. And it's generally fairly low, but one of the reasons we like to think about it is that it helps us put our efforts into paths with the highest conversion rate. And so since you can track so much on your website, you can see how people wind up, what path they take to wind up converting. Is it through a referral site? You might want to strengthen your referral, your partnership with them. Is it through Google? Is it through your paid advertising? Things like that. Okay, and so some things to think about with that, landing page, right? And so you want the landing page is the site you go to when you just type in the website address or click on Google. It's the same as the home page. And so you want people to click through it. You want to get them to visit other pages. So you don't want always to have a direct link to the shopping cart because they might have too little information to encourage a purchase. And this information comes from some, like ethnographic work and interview work with, asking people, what do you think about the site? How do you use the site? And so on. Another purpose of a landing page is lead generation. And so as I showed, right, and talked about, like if you go to a flash sale site or some of those real estate sites, they really want to get your information. And so they'll give you a form and you might get entered into a contest or have a free giveaway or just have access to the content that they have. And so there's different types of web analytics. First one is user. And so that's the sort of information you get. You get information about the user, about who's coming to the site. And that includes things like their IP address, their city, age, gender, Facebook profile. There's all sorts of information. We're all very connected with our data. You also get the traffic source. Where else have they been? Right? Where were they before they got to your site? Behavioral information. So what are they doing on the site? You can track everything they do on your website. What they click, when do they go back, do they bounce, and so on. Pages viewed, purchases, search terms. And then acquisition. And so that's basically a way of talking about the quality of the traffic and the cost you're paying for it. So if you're spending a lot of money on advertising, is that bringing you the high quality traffic that warrants the funds? Right, so how much are you paying for each visitor is the quick way of thinking about that. And so to continue with acquisition and retention, acquisition analytics includes something like acquiring a first-time subscriber, getting the registrant or email address. And so you want to maximize that. You want to do it the cheapest way possible to get the most people. When you move into retention analytics, you're thinking about long-term value. And so this is calculated by the user, by the email, visitor, and you want to be able to give the right incentive or information to the user. And so some of the ways that retention happens, you can think about emails, right, just to remind people that you're there. And also then pricing strategies. And so two different logics at play with that, right? A new user is going to be really interested in the product or service. They've searched and found you. Whereas longer term, you might want offer discounts to encourage repeated visits and purchases. And so Bed Bath & Beyond is perhaps the king of this, but also other stores and other services do it well. And you might have had, for example, some like yoga studios will send like a, "We've missed you, come back," email. And that's sort of a way of retaining the client. Okay, and so that's just some brief information about web analytics. Please watch the YouTube video from Google posted. He explains it with a lot more pizzazz than I do. And I will see you guys soon.